Hey, welcome to the 8th installment of Technician Talk. Carm Capriato here with episode 490. I'm with Bob Heipp, Peter Landry, and Matt Fanslow to discuss loyalty.
I would hope customers, or not, maybe customers and shop owners would think of loyalty as the customer that knows that you're more expensive than the rest of the people on the block and will defend you to their friends and on the internet or whatever as to, don't look at the price, look at the value.
Welcome, aftermarketers, to Remarkable Results Radio. Listen to learn just one thing from today's episode on your journey to remarkable results. Hi, friends. Carm Capriato here, the Aftermarket Podcast Guy. You know, Apex 2019 is in the record books, and I must say that Apex lived up to presenting leading-edge technology from suppliers, but also did a really good job of showcasing the emerging technology of tomorrow. You've got plenty of time to plan for Apex 2020 and the brand new section dedicated to the service professional. It'll be designated Repair Shop HQ. Write these dates down on your calendar. November 3rd through the 5th, 2020. Apex now more than ever. Hey, thanks for putting up with my raspy voice. Got my annual winter cold. Let's get this podcast resource that you're listening to all our aftermarket friends in each of our communities. You know, it matters to me to get these stories, ideas, insights to every corner of the aftermarket, and you can help so we all rise to new levels. Just share this with a friend. You know, we cover almost all trending issues and so much more on the podcast, so please check out the For the Record podcast. As an essential industry leader, each week shares their particular point of view on a subject they pick to rant on. A new episode comes out every Monday. You'll find all the For the Record episodes in your free subscription app or on the website at remarkableresults.biz. Now, Tech Talk 8 with Bob Heipp, Peter Landry, and Matt Fanslow. Now, today we discuss the value and importance of loyalty in the aftermarket, or lack thereof. Find the talking points at remarkableresults.biz/E490 and links to the previous 8 episodes. This outspoken trio ponders on how loyalty is defined, how it can be earned, and how it can be supported. Loyalty is not limited to the team, they say. It goes way beyond to the customers, stakeholders, suppliers, and even the community. They give their thoughts on creating loyal customers. They even talk about getting a label of being disloyal. The views and opinions expressed are those of my guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the author, sponsors, associates, or affiliates of LSTN Media, LLC. Hey, this is a long episode, but well worth the listen, even if it takes you a couple of sessions to get through it. Hey, warm welcome to Tech Talk Part 8. Come on, guys. 8? Oh, okay. Peter Landry, Bob Heipp, Matt Fanslow, thanks for joining me again. It's one of the most loved series that we have, so we're at it again, trying to shake the world of the automotive aftermarket. Bob wanted to come in and talk about loyalty. Bob, why and what's that all about?
I saw a couple of threads on actually Facebook that kind of spurred the thought process, and it was basically after reading some things, kind of got me thinking, and actually had me talking to Matt and Pete on separate occasions, and spurred the thought process. And initially, I thought about shop owners and employees, shop owners and customers, maybe employees to employees. But that's kind of the thought process that started the engagement of thought.
Even shop owners to suppliers.
Yeah. So I guess it comes down to, should you have loyalty? What is loyalty?
And is there any ROI with loyalty, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the hard truth lies. When we first started having this conversation, I was surprised at how long in my life I've thrown the word around and not really considered the meaning of it, and how, probably going to make a lot of people angry with this, but how silly the meaning of the word actually is. It's almost what would you say, Bob? Would you call it like a blind faith, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, if you Google the word, I mean, it's basically a strong feeling of support or allegiance. I think Pete and I both in the discussion came along with there are so many better words that you could get rid of the word loyalty and never need to ever use it again. When I think loyalty, the first thing that pops into my head is people that are sports fanatics and following a team and loyal to their team and rah, rah, rah. And because I'm from the Chicago area for the most part of my life, the first thing that comes to mind for me is the Cubs. And I think, what are these idiots following this team that has failed for so long? And then, I mean, it just makes no logical sense to me. And so this is kind of how the conversation started to go around, and Pete started delving deeper into it and saying, well, doesn't it mean this?
Is it about belonging to something? Being part of?
I don't think it does, no.
Okay.
Well, essentially, there's definitely utility in the idea of the word, right? In the way that it's a noble, all-encompassing idea on the surface. It tends to be, in my opinion, very foolish and lacks reason and function in reality as you kind of get deeper into it. The word that has been thrown the most between, I think, in this conversation is integrity. Takes the place most often, I think. Would you agree with that, guys? I think that's the word that has most often replaced it.
Yeah, I think without integrity, loyalty is not worth talking about. I mean, you got to have integrity yourself before you can have integrity to others and have loyalty to others.
Let me ask you this, guys. You're all friends. You work in the industry together. You've known each other for an awful long time. You've worked together. You've partied together. You've traveled together. You've conferenced together. Does that create a loyalty to each other?
No.
It creates a friendship.
I
think early on, Carm said a word that I think, or really an acronym, that I know him and I have discussed a little bit. What's the ROI? What's the return on the investment of this loyalty? And I think one of the big problems with loyalty is when you expect loyalty. What are you offering to
Shouldn't it be constantly
justify
earned?
it? Yeah.
Let's back up a little bit. I think we need to actually, when a person is expecting loyalty, what do they actually expect?
Well, or to ignore shortcomings
on their part. If I expect loyalty, I'm expecting you to overlook my shortcomings and almost blindly pledge allegiance to my cause, or me.
Be committed to you.
Yeah.
What you just said, is that loyalty, or is that really what friendship is?
Guys, let me stop for a moment and just say this about the thesaurus says loyalty is also devotion, dedication, and commitment. Would those words help us understand it better?
All of these words have precursors, right? There's subtext to all of it. And that's, I think, the biggest problem with the word is it's not clearly defined as to what the expectation of a loyal person is.
Well, if you want to pick on a loyal employee or disloyal employee, if you're hired to do a job, let's just say fix cars, that you're going to follow the shop procedures laid out, and you're going to uphold a certain standard set by the shop or the owner or management or whatever, that would be a loyal employee. But then when a bigger and better deal comes along and they leave the shop for another shop or another career to better themselves, oftentimes they are looked at as being disloyal.
Yeah, instead of the reality that they just fired the shop, and the shop needs to look at it as, what did we do egregiously? Or it's the guy left to make his own shop or something. But if somebody leaves your shop, they fired you. 2 weeks notice is to give something that is to be nice and not burn a bridge.
Listen, people are loyal to companies, they're loyal to people, but circumstance drives them to make very difficult decisions. So I'm not sure it's a disloyalty. It's just a change. And sometimes it's a change. It's an economic change. Sometimes it's a geography change.
And I would agree that an employee leaving a company wouldn't be disloyalty, but somehow that's the label that gets thrown around is
it's viewed that way.
Yes.
At least if they're staying in, obviously if they move geographically, if you moved from Minnesota to Florida, obviously that's a whole different story. The employer's going to look at it as a whole thought process of the guy moved there for some other reason. It wasn't them. But
then his loyalty wasn't with that company.
But if they moved,
right?
I guess what I'm trying to say is if they move from wherever, a few states away or whatever, it's one thing. But if they move from shop A to shop B and they're a couple miles apart, now you've done me wrong.
Let me just make this real quick statement. Pretty much, if you wanted to make the argument that you are loyal to anyone or anything, I can either A, disprove your loyalty, or B, show that you're an idiot. That's pretty much true across the board when we're talking about the word loyalty. Either you're foolishly, blindly loyal to someone who is potentially they're treating you fantastically. Potentially you're in a, on the flip side of that, you're in an abusive relationship, but you're still loyal to that person. Well, that's just dumb, right? I'm not hearing any agreement.
Correct. Yeah, if you're in an abusive relationship and you're loyal,
yeah,
that's some sort of
there's just
codependency or something. I'm not sure.
I think so much the disconnect with the whole conversation is nobody has a definition of what it is and boundaries in which it appropriately occurs, right?
Well, hopefully you have some sort of, in any kind of a relationship, you've got, I don't want to say necessarily understanding. Understanding would probably be the way to go with that. That this is what the relationship is about. Obviously the relationship I have with Matt and Pete and even you, Carm, is considerably different than the relationship that I have with my wife, my parents, whatever. There's boundaries with those relationships that unspoken rules sometimes. Sometimes they're spoken, sometimes they're written. Everybody understands what to expect.
Yeah, boundaries and expectations, essentially.
We're getting pretty deep into this philosophical discussion of loyalty, and I know you guys wanted to, if you will, enlighten the industry as to employee, supplier, shop owner, and how that loyalty dynamic works, how it should work, how it could work, what's right with it, what's wrong with it. I don't know if we can rightfully define legitimately what loyalty really means, except devotion, dedication, commitment. Like the word or not, it has a factor in how we go to market, how we have a relationship, how we treat customers, how we treat each other. And maybe we can get some really good points across to the industry as to, let's find loyalty. Let's find and create stronger loyalties. How do you do that?
I think commitment has to be defined. Loyalty, I don't even know that you can define it.
You got to start with one piece of the pie at a time. So say you're talking about a shop and customers. How do you get a loyal customer? Well, the first thing is have them walk into your shop or call your shop, and you speak to them with, dignity and respect, and you earn their trust. You earn their business. And then provide them services. You don't oversell. You don't wallet flush them. all these kind of things.
You just described integrity is what you described.
Oh, I'm supposed to have integrity. Okay, right.
When I think of a loyal customer, I guess what comes to mind is somebody that over time consistently sees the value in the services you're providing, that they keep coming back for more. And you would I think where the quote unquote loyalty aspect may come in is when you fail to meet those expectations, they give you another shot.
I think that what I would hope customers, or not, maybe customers and shop owners would think of loyalty as the customer that knows that you're more expensive than the rest of the people on the block and will defend you to their friends and on the internet or whatever as to just don't look at the price, look at the value.
It doesn't matter how you say it. It's loyalty, it's devotion, it's dedication, it's commitment to you.
But you have to have integrity first.
Absolutely, and I totally agree. Bob, you brought the topic up because you saw a lot of threads going on in social. What was the tone of them?
People on their soapbox.
Yeah, I would say, yes, people on their soapbox is what I would go with, yeah.
In a good or bad way?
Have you ever seen it in a good way? I'm teasing you.
No, but You're right. I asked the question I knew the answer to there.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, that's kind of your job.
Yeah, I find it just whenever somebody's on their soapbox, there is a certain level of hypocrisy going on. It's one of those things that we all have to understand that we all are hypocrites at some time or another. It's whether or not you own it. Everybody's really gets on the internet and has the ability to be really bigger than they are and more integrity than they really have, and more. When you meet them, you understand that, they're just people. But I guarantee you, I go and read stuff that I see on Facebook, the internet, whatever. I guarantee I could walk into shops and poke holes in techs, in shop owners, whatever. And it's just one of those things that is it worth it? Should you? No. But I mean, it's one of those things that I think people need to understand that when they go and make these claims or point fingers and all the rest of it, they need to make sure their house is in order first.
Yeah, you're right. Why don't we get into the build-up moment or the teaching moment in social media instead of the tear-down moments?
Right.
That's easy.
Or the judgmental moment.
Because it's easy. You don't have to put any effort.
And it's not fun.
Yeah,
it's not fun to look.
More entertaining.
It's not fun to look at me. For me to look at me is not fun.
Yeah, and look at American Idol. Who's the most popular judge on American Idol for all those years? Simon. What did he do? Tear people down. I mean, in brilliant ways.
I was thinking it must be Paula Abdul because the local tops or something. She was on the show, right?
It sure seems like the first few seasons. I think so.
I don't think I ever watched the show.
I don't. So. I just remember people talking about Simon and how he would come up with all these creative ways to make somebody feel awful about their singing ability, whether they deserved it or not. On the internet, on social media, it's just easier and more entertaining to run somebody down than it is to come up with new and creative ways to educate or build them up. And that we have to factor in a little bit that people don't want necessarily to be educated either.
There you go.
Because we get some ego stuff going on both sides. I'm not really
which I think
fingers both ways.
I think the points you just made are a lot of the reason that the word loyalty is used online, because there's no quicker way to get butthurt than somebody to question your loyalty, right? That's a hot button, right? But also, they can't expect you to defend your loyalty because nobody knows exactly what it is. That's why it's a great way to either attack someone, or if you use it on, preemptively, it's a great way to kind of stop the conversation before it really starts. And which is typical of people on soapboxes. They're not interested in a conversation; they're interested in preaching.
So your boss, your owner, comes to you and gives you this great compliment, and he genuinely means it. I mean, you can tell. Is that a way that helps build loyalty from the genuinity of caring for someone?
I think if that's been kind of a trend, or is showing to becoming more of a trend, if you're just haven't been that type of a person for many years, all of a sudden you bust out this big compliment, everybody's BS meter's probably just pegged. But I think what you're saying it's true. I mean, I don't mean that to pick apart what you said. I think that anything positive, again, I keep coming back to the return on investment.
Matt, I get the BS meter. If those come at anyone so rarely, you wonder, what the hell does he want? But business cultures are growing and grooming, and people are realizing that they're not going to keep great talent and great customers if they don't build a loving, caring.
And I keep coming back to that return on investment. Why keep working here? Why keep this employee here? Why keep frequenting this business? Why keep buying parts from this establishment versus this establishment? What's the return on investment? If I do start frequenting a certain business, whether it's for parts or service, over time, I guess I do start expecting some perks. I want a return on investment. I want a reward for my quote unquote loyalty.
How many marketing campaigns are loyalty rewards or customer loyalty this? And,
it take too long to build.
It's a marketing thing. Yeah.
It is. So it seems like the loyalty word is marketing and,
yeah. So the shop owner breaks out the compliment for the employee.
Let me ask you, when was, people talk about there used to be loyalty. What did it mean? And when was this?
That's a great question.
I think because the idea has never been specific and concrete, that's everyone's interpretation. Because as you grow and as you mature, what you were told it was and how you are today as a person they're different things, and it wasn't identified clearly and specifically once upon a time. The whole idea just keeps shifting as you move through life.
Hey, Carm here. Apex 19 is in the record books and brought the best and brightest together to create an experience like no other. Now, the big announcement for Apex 2020 is a dedicated section for the service professional. Yay! Apex will present Repair Shop HQ in its own section in 2020. So, if you earn your living in the aftermarket, Apex is for you. Sure, SEMA's fun, but you'll learn more and see more that relates to your sales growth, profits, productivity, and technology at Apex. And training, Apex will present some of the best aftermarket technician trainers as well as management trainers. Now, regarding emerging tech, Apex will feature again in 2020 the latest trends that will have an impact on the service repair professional. And equipment, wow, see, feel, and touch the latest tools and equipment that will bring efficiencies to your business. Mark your calendar right now for Apex 20, November 3rd through the 5th in Las Vegas. Listen here to learn all about Apex and when you can start registering. Bob brought up something a little earlier, and Bob, you said earn loyalty. And I think that's the crutch of this entire discussion. And I don't care what you would call it, but you're always earning. I mean, if there's a loyalty card for a grocery store, just because it's hanging on my wallet, on my keychain, doesn't mean I go. It doesn't mean I partake. It's just there. It's something that, every time I go, they never have what I want. The lines are too long. I just never feel like an exceptional member of this grocery store community. And so you vote with your money. And so loyalty hangs on a keychain. How about that? Is that a great description of loyalty? It hangs on a keychain.
The sole reward, if you're not using it, is fiscal. You're getting the little kickback, or it automatically calculates your coupons. But you need more reason than that to go.
Points on your credit card.
Yeah, you need more than that, whether it's convenience or they have what you want or there's really great help there.
At which point that's incentive. It's not loyalty.
Exactly.
So I'd like to jump back to what Carm said real quick about the boss, the employer, whatever, giving the attaboy pat on the back to the employee. Is that building loyalty?
But a genuine compliment, a real genuine compliment. I mean, when someone looks at that and says, wow, I really know he means that, because that's coming from his heart.
Understand.
Okay.
No, I'm not trying to, what I'm saying is that to build loyalty? I think loyalty is a byproduct. So that compliment, that attaboy, whatever, genuine as it is, should just be a heartfelt, I value you. If you value the person and keep showing that, keep earning, then maybe loyalty follows.
It's a two-way street, too.
Well, you value the employer, right? Is it loyalty?
I wouldn't give a great compliment to someone to earn loyalty. I would give it because I genuinely, appreciate.
Because you have integrity?
Yeah, maybe because I have integrity. I want them to. I want them to continue to do the great job. I want to recognize them. It doesn't have to be money. It could just, it just comes inside. Wow, Hey, how was your day today, hon? It was great. Carm gave me this incredible compliment. Does he give them out often? No, but when they come, they're genuine. Now, did it put something in my emotional bank account to build dedication maybe back to this organization that I'm part of? It's not the key. It's not hanging on the keychain. It's
a byproduct.
Yeah.
Yep. It's another incentive.
Yeah.
I have an analogy. This could be really dangerous.
Go for it.
Sounds good.
Not that I back off from danger often enough.
You're a wild man.
At least with my mouth. Think about like a long-term relationship. So I guess where I'm going with this is maybe loyalty is more than just what's to come, but what's been built up over time. Long-term relationship, marriage, whatever you want to, define that as. And you've been in this relationship for 20 years. And now a potentially better deal is offering itself to you, him or her, that you could jump ship from this long-term relationship to this new, maybe it'll end up a relationship, short-term, long-term, fling, something of that nature. But you're looking at it and thinking about what could be, but also what has been with this person that you've been with over this long period of time, and therefore decide against going after this potentially better thing, and let's just say in certain aspects, maybe it is, him or her is much, quote unquote, better. Your choice to stay where you're at, even though this new shiny thing is sitting there, that could be loyalty. And the only reason you make that decision is because of the history you've built up, presumably overwhelmingly positive. I don't see that being that much different than a place of business, whether you're a client, an employee, or the owner, manager.
I see it as being fear usually.
I would see it as honoring a commitment. You make a commitment to somebody, you better honor it, or you really have no integrity.
I could argue that if
we're going to get in a relationship, or business or otherwise, it is 2019, Matt. We could be in whatever kind of relationship you want.
I think the commitment factor would be more pronounced if the relationship was fairly negative or had more negative, that sticking with it is more showing more commitment than it's really overwhelmingly positive. I'm just not going after this new shiny thing. So fear is certainly a factor because I don't want to lose what I already have. Like I'm comfortable. I know what to expect. They know what to expect from me and all that.
The grass is always greener type of a thing is how I mean, look, your analogy kind of, to me, felt a lot like a relationship, man, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend type of a thing. And I think a business relationship, employer, employee, employee, or a shop customer is a bit different. And I look at those as grass is always greener, or the devil you know is sometimes or always better than the devil you don't. That's why I brought in fear, because, the grass is always greener. But I mean, does history say that always works out? No, usually not.
Yeah, fear of the unknown, right?
Yeah,
that's probably a bigger stick to wield than the idea of loyalty in the first place, right? Pretty much, it's somewhat of a balance between having any level of confidence that the grass truly is greener. The fear of the unknown may actually be better than the awful situation you're in.
The employee that doesn't jump ship to the new, potentially higher paying career or job or better benefits, them staying could be more out of fear of the unknown than loyalty.
Correct.
And that was an earnest question. I'm not setting anybody up.
And I think it's a situation that if the shop has done their job and done those, hey, Carm, I saw you did this. What a great job you did, whatever. Right now, example that Kevin has come up with, and it really, to my knowledge, is his idea. Weekly, the guys, we're 23 strong, I think, right now. It's technicians, something like that. Everybody has Friday through Thursday. Tell us about a job that you did or you noticed somebody else did. And he gives an award away for the best fix of the week. He gives another one award for the best assist. So if you help somebody, we give another award for you just did something that was not, you never needed to do it. I call it above and beyond. You just went out of your way type of a thing. Is that bringing loyalty? I don't know. Is it honoring guys for doing their job? Yeah.
Don't argue with the fact that recognition is important to people. It really,
I would never. No, I would never argue that. It is important. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
and there's
I
definitely
shouldn't.
value in it,
Let's
but what it is.
caveat that. Honest and recognition with integrity. If it's just, thrown out willy-nilly, it's got no meaning. It's got no value.
If it's a superficial attaboy, it doesn't have the power of the commitment. And frankly, what Kevin needs to do is not make this a program that runs for 4 weeks. If it's going to have any substance, it's got to be, it's got to run for a while. It's got to be.
Oh, I think this is going to run forever.
That's great. Now that becomes part of the culture, and people are constantly working toward being on that team to be creative and helpful.
He does exclude management from that, or guys in management roles.
Meaning you'll never get anything?
I get a paycheck, so I'm good.
Got it. Let's back up about 10 minutes when we were talking about people leaving, and it's known people leave people, not companies.
Right.
Anyone that says he's disloyal, well, okay, look in the mirror. That's who it was. And every time I ever had someone leave, I was really tough on myself. Couldn't convince the person to stay, never really could get the real skinny as to why. And man, I beat myself up pretty hard over that, knowing that person was not leaving my company, but it was leaving me.
I'll tell you, for a long time, I didn't stay in a job for more than 2 years. It drove my wife absolutely nuts.
Yeah, you'd come home on a Friday and she'd say, Bob, where are you reporting Monday?
Right, pretty much. And but every time I left a job, either I had more pay, better hours, some sort of benefits. Everything was better for my wife and I. So, there was a reason I left. But if the people I was working for had already given me that, or showed me, you don't even need to pay. That reality is you don't need to pay the most money to anybody. You treat them people right, and they'll work for less money. Not that I'm saying pay somebody poor wages. I think that if somebody's worth and shown value, most of the time in our industry, they're underpaid. It's one of those things that the shops I fired them. I left them because they were not giving me what I needed to stay there. And the biggest thing that will make me look for another shop has always been boredom. You don't have enough work for me? See ya. I don't care how I'm paid. I can't stand around.
Let's try to bridge the gap when we think about supplier, quote unquote, loyalty. Okay, whatever you want to call it. And in the age of e-commerce today, and how easy it is to have this supplier that I totally rely on, first call, the parts delivered, it helps my efficiency, it helps everything in our business. And then every once in a while we stray. And my point is that maybe we can take how that loyalty with supplier relationships work, and maybe we figure that out, we can figure the rest.
It's annoying. It's an annoying contradiction. If you demand some loyalty, you should maybe practice a little bit of it. You hear this a lot. I hear it a lot, I guess. Upset that parts store A can't seem to keep quality parts or counter people working, people that know cars really well, and try to avoid doing free code scans and are good about referrals, especially to their best clients. And yet they're still price shopping. They'll go to parts store B for $5 difference and still complain about these same things with parts store A. I can't get my head wrapped around that. And then again, turn around and complain about the same exact thing coming from a client. I can't believe they're not having the service done here, that they're going to go to shop B because they're $5 cheaper. How dare they?
The issue is that it's too complicated to hold all the values that aren't necessarily easily equated to a financial amount, to hold all those values in your head simultaneously while you're conducting yourself, right? So this supplier, bends over backwards for you, does this promotion for you. Yeah, they're $5 more. But I remember the times they helped me, or they did this, or they did that. Hopefully I remember those things.
I think that you got to dig down a little bit deeper. And whether people agree with me or disagree with me, it's just the point of view here is, I think the majority of shop owners are former technicians. They are not businessmen. They don't dig deep. Like the majority of the technicians don't go out looking for training, and they don't work on their craft. Same thing with the majority of shop owners. And when you don't have that understanding of business, you go out looking for whores. And the guy that's giving everything away for free or less money, whatever, parts store, I mean, wow, that's a nice shiny bead. Let me go get it. It's the same thing with customers. Roll it back all the way around. You get the guy, woman, whatever, shop owner that understands business, that understands I need a good price. I need service that comes with the price that might be a little bit higher price, but I get good service. Now I can talk to my customer and explain to them why I'm a little bit more money, maybe a lot more money. There's a situation here that I build a clientele that understands the value for the dollar versus I'm chasing whores, you should chase whores.
So the more sophisticated the businessman, the more he values
hopefully
the supplier, service quality, price, availability. All of that brings revenue, efficiencies, margin into the company. But I guess if you're leading and managing from a weak position, then you'll never have a loyal customer. You'll never have a loyal employee. You'll never have a relationship with a loyal supplier.
Well, you'll never have loyalty, period, but go on.
No, that's kind of exactly where I was going, Peter.
Very few loyal clients, very few loyal employees.
They're not loyal at that point, Matt. They're just lazy, and you're the convenient person.
Do people want loyalty? Do people want to feel a part of a team and commitment? I get my point is that sooner or later one day there's got to be this void in your life. As we grow older, we get smarter, and you says, wow, I did that wrong, or I've never felt that. That's why I'm no longer there. I don't care if it's relationship, business, employee, supplier. It seems like it's a big hamster wheel, and sooner or later we got to get off it.
I think we should be always working to earn people's trust.
Well, I mean, if we don't see value in the transactions we're making between one another, why would we continue to do it?
Yeah,
that's ultimately what we're trying to do is get the perceived value. That's really what I think in business loyalty actually means.
I mean, ultimately, there's people in your lives that you don't give a crap whether they are loyal or your friend or whatever. I mean, they're just whatever, you know. Should I want loyalty out of Matt and Pete? Honestly, I don't really care.
And then what does that even mean?
Right.
Well, I can tell you I really don't want your loyalty, because if I'm wrong, I expect you to call me out. Maybe not in front of people. As a friend, you may just, okay, we'll talk about this later or whatever,
And on the same
but loyalty
other hand of it, I expect you, and we all expect each other to eat crow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And not to be a baby about it.
Right.
Is it about friendship, not loyalty?
Correct.
Because friendships can go deep. Maybe loyalty can't.
Well, loyalty in and of itself isn't deep. So, yeah, I would imagine that would be fair.
I mean, I've always had the personality that friends, and I have very few friends. I have many acquaintances.
Imagine that.
I have very few friends. But for a friend, I mean, they call and need something. I usually drop shit and I go,
right.
Whatever it is, whether physically, financially, whatever. And some of the flaw, though, is I don't have the ability to ask that in return.
Why?
I'm broken. I'm only alive on the inside. On the outside, I mean, on the inside, I'm dead.
No, I think everybody's broken.
Oh, gosh. Oh, geez, guys. Oh, geez.
Except Pete.
But obviously, Bob, you do that because you find value in it, right?
I find value in helping others,
helping other people that you like. People are maybe moving towards a goal that you appreciate, or they conduct themselves in a manner that you appreciate, or you feel some obligation to that person for some reason or another.
Honored that
and you feel value
that I can provide their need. Help. Yeah,
right. And you feel value in fulfilling that need. So, though it may not be monetary, but there's certainly value in that.
Yeah, right. Oh,
so I don't think
definitely. I mean, there's things that I'll do for friends that I wouldn't do for family.
So let me ask this friendship question. If I said, Bob, I says, you loyal to Matt? You would probably say, well, he's my friend. What's loyalty have to do with it?
Correct. Yeah.
I think I actually brought up the thing about, friendships and loyalty, and, how can you justify the fact that your friendship is all about loyalty? And I think it goes deeper than that.
No, you can't. Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you don't have friendships to find loyalty, I don't think. Again, loyalty is a byproduct of, having integrity, and
I continue to go back to the fact that you have to earn it all the way through. Yeah. And once you feel that you've earned it, it fizzles, it goes away, and you have to continue to do it. It's no different than a spousal relationship. I always knew the fact that you got to give 60% to receive 40, and the other spouse gives 60 to receive 40. And somewhere as you work the giving and the receiving piece, you end up becoming and having hopefully a good 50-50 relationship. It's a back and forth thing, and it's a commitment to each other.
Yeah, I always look at good relationships are other-centered. If you think about the other more than you think about yourself, you tend to have a good relationship.
Yeah.
I think that's a fairy tale, but go ahead.
I've been working on an idea for maybe a For the Record or maybe a different podcast. I don't know.
You are just a podcast whore.
It's really just with remarkable results.
He's my guy.
Radio.
He's my guy, Bob. Shut up.
I haven't really
we have high-level
done much
talks
outside of this. There's a lot of loyalty, mostly because he's the only one that lets me talk. But
it's not exactly loyalty, is it?
Yeah. I pay him a lot. I pay him a lot of money. It has to do with long-standing successes, like sports teams, probably specifically, that have long legacies of just winning.
Oh, back to the Cubs.
Yeah. And to do a little research, I've been watching some interviews with different people, and one of them is Bill Belichick with the New England Patriots. And what you guys were just saying echoes very much what he talks about, that one of those kind of pillar things within that organization is what benefits the team, what benefits the guy to your left, the guy to your right. And that if they succeed, you'll succeed. And that kind of, I felt like that was an interesting parallel to what you guys just said. That other, it's very much in that organization that's now been dominant for what? Well over 10 years? Well over 10 years. And
you're talking to my arch rival. The Buffalo Bills is most arch rival. Yeah.
The Bills had a lot of success way back when, too. Yeah. I know they didn't actually win the Super Bowl, but you don't go to the Super Bowl 4 frickin' times because you suck.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no way.
So years ago, the Bears did have a good team. And when 85, years ago, I read an article about McMahon and the offensive line. Were they loyal to each other, or did they have a camaraderie? They would go out, I think, once a week or once a month, the line and McMahon, to high-end steak place, and they would rotate who bought. And, I mean, you're talking about some big boys and thousands of dollars for, the check comes rolling in and stuff. And if you watched them back then, it was a very tight-knit group. And that is what made them successful. But was it loyalty to each other, or was it just camaraderie and friendship?
Or was it people dedicated to working towards a common goal?
Getting drunk and eating?
Well, it's easier to do that if you like the people around you or have some sort of a connection, camaraderie.
Or spend the time to know where they're coming from.
Who would you rather do business with or work for? Somebody you like or somebody you hate?
Duh. I work with you, Bob. Obviously.
I can't understand why you stay. It's just...
I'm broken, obviously.
Not as broken as me.
Bob, thanks for bringing loyalty here. I can't quite say that I have a satisfaction level that we know what it means and how it works and how it integrates, and if it's a factor, if it's not a factor, inside, outside, supplier, customer. But I think you flushed a lot of great stuff out. I think you got people to thinking, guys. I think we talked about a lot of different things here, and I think it's a worthy episode for people to ponder, to think deep on.
I doubt it will be the best episode that we've ever put out as far as hits wise and stuff like that, but I found it interesting just in our conversations for this past month or so, when Pete and I would talk, and then Matt and I would talk, and you think you got your mind wrapped around something,
And I think it's great to have things that are unresolved and not have answers to them. That's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's a little uncomfortable, but
and as I said, Peter, it's stuff to ponder. I mean, because you're right. There's no exact science in life at all.
Yeah, and we're comfortable with living documents. Your employee handbook might be a living document. There's also living, ideas or puzzles, and this might be one of them. And it's worth your time and effort to think about how it relates to you and those in your area that you're affecting, be it employees or clients or vendors, suppliers, or peers. As an employee, your management or peers, the guy next to you.
We didn't even get into the whole guy working in the bay next to you or anything like that, We didn't even get into the thought process of one shop owner talking crap or praising another shop owner and loyalty within the trade.
Yeah, loyalty to the trade.
So much depth that we haven't even scratched yet, and that people are hopefully going to walk away with this going, crap.
I think it's a topic that's definitely worth taking the time to increase the resolution of how we look at it and actually break it down, because there's value in understanding it, because it applies to almost every relationship we're in, whether it be business or personal, social, whatever. It's definitely worth the uncomfortable feeling of not completely understanding it, and trying to actually put some boundaries and some, what would you say? Put some
limits.
Sometimes you just can't put a word to what you need to wrap this word around.
Mm-hmm.
Loyalty is easy to say. It's very tough to earn and to put it into perspective. I think you brought us a fabulous topic with some, like you're right, Peter. We're not here to have a discussion and lay up on anyone exactly what loyalty means and how you work it. It's a profound, heavy thought, and but I have to tell you, guys, thanks for bringing this to me. I think we were in some pretty deep think. Thank you for some of the levity that we had along the way.
It's probably the first topic from a tech talk where we didn't come in guns a-blazing with a definition or a solution, that this is a lot more open-ended, and it was really for people just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I mean, most of the time in the past, not to suggest that we have solutions for any of the things we discussed prior, but at least we proposed some. In this case, we don't even have a proposed.
Stop using a word.
Yeah, you served up something that's been discussed by maybe not necessarily experts, and you wanted to bring it to the industry and heavy stuff. Thank you. I appreciate that we went deep, and we had some deep think here. Peter Landry, Bob Heipp, Matt Fanslow, Technician Talk, Part 8. Oh, what's 9 going to be like?
Trust.
Oh, dear. Oh, there's another light subject. Thank you. I think we need a relief.
I think we'll just, I think that'll be our political.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to talk to you about my buddy Bernie.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll bring that up early November of 2020.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.